Pokemon number 81 are a species of levitating metal balls with horseshoe magnets at their sides. Spinning those magnets make them more powerful. When three Magnemites come together, they become a new species of Pokemon altogether. Magnemite can attract magnetic materials from 100 meters away. So, just how powerful can Magnemite be? And is Magneton simply 3 times as powerful? Even when it sleeps, it floats. However, if a Magnemite does not have enough energy, it will fall to the ground. According to the Pokédex from several regions, Magnemite levitate by emitting antigravity from the magnets. How gravity works. The word anti-gravity literally means opposite gravity. However, nothing can oppose or negate gravity. If an apple falls from a tree, you can catch it before it falls to the ground. When you catch it, your hand literally opposes the force that caused it to fall in the first place. But that wasn't the force of gravity. In that case, how did the apple fall? Albert Einstein provided the explanation by stating that everything is placed on a grand tapestry called space-time. Every object in the universe travels on straight lines through this space-time. Earth is so massive that it causes space-time to be curved around it. A falling apple seems to be attracted to the Earth. In reality, the tree was holding it up all along, and the tree was being held up by the ground. When the apple falls, what's really happening is that the apple stops accelerating while the entire world around it moves upwards. If you're confused, watch Veritasium's video to learn more about why gravity is a myth. Almost the whole Pokemon world has been indoctrinated to believe that Magnemite emit anti-gravity when it is actually moving through space-time at the same rate as the rest of the world. How levitation actually works. The Earth's outer core is made of liquid iron and nickel. This liquid of the outer core moves up and down and in circles. When this liquid moves, it generates an electric current, which in turn generates a magnetic field that extends across and beyond the entire planet. This is the essence of the dynamo theory. The size of this field is about 0.00003 Teslas. My good friend Professor Laventon once conjectured that Magnemite levitate via magnetism. I support this view and would go so far as to say they interact directly with the Earth's magnetic field. The Earth's magnetic field of 0.00003 Teslas is an extremely small number. It is 100 times smaller than a fridge magnet, and 100,000 times smaller than an MRI machine. How about when we compare it to Magnemite? Magnemite's magnets are powerful enough to attract iron from 100 meters away. A fridge can just about attract something that is a few millimeters away. Even an MRI scanner, which is 1,000 times more powerful, can only attract something if it's a few meters away. Do you spot the trend? If an MRI scanner can lift iron a meter away, we can calculate just how powerful Magnemite's magnets are by scaling that power by 100 to get us about 100 Teslas. This can generate enough magnetic force to raise Magnemite's 6 kilogram body above the surface of the Earth. A Magnemite evolves by linking up with two other Magnemites. However, do they really become only 3 times as powerful as the Pokemon Moon Pokédex might suggest? According to Pokemon Emerald, Magneton emits radio waves with enough energy to raise the temperature of our 1 kilometer hemisphere of air by 2 degrees Celsius. This is sheer power. Something lurks deep in space with untold levels of magnetic power. This power easily puts Magneton to great shame. Take a look at what would happen around such an object. Known as a magnetar, a kind of neutron star with a magnetic field of 100 billion Teslas, if it were hypothetically placed on Earth. Of course, the magnetic forces would kill you even if you were standing 1,000 kilometers away. I mean, okay, the tidal forces would destroy the entire Earth and eventually the Moon and the other terrestrial planets. Thankfully, Magneton aren't anywhere as deadly. So, based on Emerald's Pokédex entry, just how powerful is a Magneton? First, let's calculate the quantity of energy needed to raise the temperature of a hemisphere of air with a radius of 1 kilometer by 2 degrees. Do you know the equation we should use? We can use the equation Q equals mc delta T, where Q is the energy, m is the mass of air, T is the specific heat capacity of air, and delta T is the change in temperature. We know the change in temperature and we can look up the value for the specific heat capacity of air, but we need to work out the mass of air using the formula for density, m equals rho v. Rho is the density of air, which we again can look up, and v is the volume of a hemisphere with a radius of 1 kilometer. After doing all this, we arrive at an energy of 5 trillion joules, or 5 terajoules. Secondly, we use the equation for magnetic energy density in an inductor, while assuming Magneton can store their electrical energy in magnetic fields. Mu naught is the permeability of free space and has a constant value, like pi. B is technically known as the magnetic flux density, but I have vaguely referred to it whenever I've mentioned any value with a unit of Tesla. Thus, we can work out the total energy by multiplying by the volume, and so for B. Remember, Magnemite have a flux density of 100 Teslas. Magneton don't just have a flux density 3 times as great, but more than 30 times. Earaches are among the least of your worries around this magnetic leviathan. Professor Laventon was researching this Pokemon not too long ago, so I wanted to know what he observed. Here's how our conversation went. Good evening, Professor. I was looking through your research on Magnemite and Magneton because I'm currently making a video on it, and I wanted to see if you could offer me some more information. Good evening. Why, certainly. I beg your pardon, did you say Magneton? Yes, I'd like to know about your verdict about Magneton specifically. I'm sorry to say that Pokemon spells disaster. In fact, it reminded me of one other Pokemon that completely razed an entire city with beams of pure annihilation. Oh, I see. Are you willing to elaborate? I'm extremely sorry to report that we lost the entire academic staff studying Magneton. You see, they were researching Magnemite closely when 3 of them decided to form an intimate group. As soon as the monstrosity began spinning its magnetic arms, every member of the team was thrown into a fit of progressively violent convulsions. This is the last thing written in one of their diaries. After the Magneton vacated the area and agents could provide autopsies, they found iron deposits all over their bodies and around their vital organs, clogging up and puncturing their blood vessels. At the same time, people in the nearby village began suffering from a multitude of cognitive impediments. That is so terrible. Look, I ran some calculations and I wanted to share them with you because I find they justify everything you've told me. Stay safe, esteemed professor. Listen, I read of cities in the Horn region that sound sirens to let people know if Magneton have been spotted. I think you should advise the council in Jubilife to do the same. Thank you for your advice, my good fellow. I look forward to receiving your latest work. In case you were wondering, the reason we humans haven't been able to produce anything above even 10 Teslas is simply because nothing has been able to withstand the stresses of such a magnetic field. Obviously, Magnemite and Magneton are made of life-threatening exotic materials, but at least we might not have to deal with a ton of them in our lifetimes.